Thanks for joining us for another fantastic episode of the Connecting Greeks podcast. We have an amazing show today. I'm Ari, one of your co-hosts. I'm actually coming live from Cape Cod, just about 10 minutes from where the first pilgrims landed. So it's really cool over here. But let me introduce my co-host, Foti Stamos. Hello, Foti.
Yasu Ari.
How's it going?
I'm not too far from you. I'm up in north of Boston, so.
Oh yeah.
We're in the same
area.
Code, right?
But where in the world is Angelo Tarroukis? I'd like to know. Let's bring him on and find out. Angelo.
That's for Angelo.
Off the coast of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean. I'm working, so I'm in my. This is great technology now. I could be on a cruise ship, and I did 2 shows on the first night. I've had 6 nights off.
Oh, nice.
So the eating, that's it. No, that's the job. And then I do 2 more tomorrow night. Then I get off the ship. So this is the life.
I like it.
Anyway, that's. I'm happy to see you guys, and I'm very happy about our guest for this week. Yeah, I've seen her many times. She's a TV contributor. You've seen her on all the major shows on the networks. She's a American. She's an activist, and she's a journalist, and she has her own show. And I'm really happy to have her on the show. Nomiki Konst. Thanks, Nomiki, for coming on Connecting Greeks.
Thank you guys so much for having me. And I'm so like, is this a Greek cruise? Because that sounds like my worst nightmare. No offense. I love our people. I don't know if I want to be on a ship with them. The coast of
it's not a Greek cruise. Okay. I'm on a cruise out of California. So it's the first time out of California. And I was in Europe. And then, between doing shows, land, and then for a long time, as you know, COVID, we didn't work. And now all of a sudden it's like we're working. So we started doing this Connecting Greeks during COVID. And then now we've been having fun with it. So now we took a break from it. And now I got Wi-Fi on the ship, and knock wood, it's working. So it's been good.
Season 2.
And now we're on the eve of Thanksgiving. And it's
happy
weird
Thanksgiving to everybody and all of you.
It's Thanksgiving. I'm not going to be home. I wasn't home for Halloween. I'm not home for Thanksgiving. I'm not home for Christmas or New Year's.
Your wife.
So maybe that's why. That's why this marriage is working out. This marriage is working out because I'm never home. So she's like, and she goes, I'm going to go spend money. I'm like, oh yeah. What do you think, honey? Well, I'm on a ship. It doesn't matter. Spend whatever you want, honey. Okay, I just wanted to check in with you. What's the difference? It doesn't make a difference, right? But
oh my God.
I have to say this. I'll say this and I want to ask you guys this. This is something that's happened. It happened to me on the cruise in Europe when I went back, and it's happened to me now here, and it has everything to do with geography. And it's seeing that we're having Thanksgiving and everybody's feeling, we're happy to be back with our loved ones. This lady was on the ship and we were coming on a transatlantic, right? So whenever they meet me, they always think, they don't know I'm a Canadian who lives in Los Angeles. They always think I'm, from Chicago or sometimes New York or Wisconsin. I get that because I understand. So I said, she goes, are you from Chicago? Are you from New York? I mean, you look like that. I go, and I said, well, no, I said, I live in Los Angeles. I'm in California. And she went, oh. So she goes, you're one of them.
Oh,
now,
you're
one
fighting
of them.
Words.
Now,
fighting words.
Right. Now, here's what, as a comic, I thought, I know what she meant. Now the thing is that by geography, so right now, Nomiki, you're in New York. The guys are in Massachusetts. I'm parts unknown, wherever, but I go back to California. Do you find, like, even now this is maybe, for Greeks, I would say it's tribal, because my dad's from a small chorio called Daphne outside of Sparti. Mm-hmm. And then the next chorio is 800 meters away called Levetsova. And if you talk to them village to village, they think the other ones are they're uneducated. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, I get it.
When you look, you know, because they go, oh no, those guys are, you know, akinoniti. Like they're, and I go, well, they're just, you can see them, but it's got that thing. So
none of you guys went to Harvard, okay?
Yeah. So what I'm saying, Nomiki, and everybody here, isn't it funny now? Is it and I'm going to ask you guys this question. Is it because of the internet technology? Is it because we know a lot now? We know a lot more. And because we're so connected now, and I notice the whole world's come together now because of technology. Do you think we just know too much? And it's affecting our decisions because this is good. We're interacting as people.
Yeah.
And we're talking to each other. And I prefer this. But when somebody says to you, oh, you're from there, they automatically associate you as part of some kind of California cult or whatever. How do you guys feel about this?
Let's have our guest, Nomiki.
Answer first, and then we'll follow up.
I feel like it's like the worst dinner party ever. Like, you know how you're supposed to be a good dinner party guest and know like one thing about every topic and like be able to and that's good if you're that kind of person at a dinner party. But online, it's like there's this power associated with it. And so now it's like, well, I know one thing about that thing and now I have a really strong opinion about it and I'm going to shove it in your face. And you know, being somebody who does news for a living, you open up your internet, it's a lot of that. And there's this, it's like a parasocial dynamic now where folks don't know where the internet ends and human beings begin. And, you know, Angela, like I've lived in Los Angeles. I mean, okay, there's all types of people in Los Angeles. It's a big city, you know, it's a multicultural city. I mean, I'm curious where she was from. That's what I want to know.
Well, that's a thing. When I asked her, she wouldn't answer. Right. Sorry.
No, I'll say, could we assume where she was from?
No, but it's funny because, so imagine now, most of the time, and this is, identity plays such a part. As a comedian, when I walk on stage, or Nomiki, when you're on, any of us, when we go, as soon as we see someone, we get this idea of who we think they are, right? Mm-hmm. So if I did it once. Somebody asked me, so, well, tell me about yourself. I said, well, my parents are Greek immigrants. I was born in Canada. I moved to California. I married an Armenian woman, and I'm here doing your cruise. Their head would blow up. Their head would blow up. And what? You're what? Like they can't even fathom that idea. And I thought it's so interesting. So when they asked me, "Are you from Wisconsin?" Yep.
You look like you're from Wisconsin, to be honest.
Wisconsin.
No, he's got dark rim glasses. That's too hip.
Maybe like this, but no. But you don't know me, Key. It's funny because it's funny how if they say now, I just agree with them because I want to see where it's going to go. You're from Chicago, right? You remind me of my friend Bruno. Yeah. Yeah, I know him. Or you're from Wisconsin, you're from New York, or you're from, they always get this Midwest feel. But isn't it funny though? And it made me realize that is exactly where the world's going. We're not basing it so much on fact as we are on look.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Nomiki would be a good judge of like everything you're saying because she works in news, so she probably sees like the very, very worst of what information does. Is because you know we're living in times where there's misinformation. We're living in times where there's good information. It's up to the person now to figure out what's real and what's not, and that puts a lot of a lot of pressure on the person because you know a lot of people aren't that bright, so they kind of just hear something on the internet.
Speak for yourself.
I did my research, guys. I did my research.
Oh my God.
Famous last words.
that sentence drives me up a wall. It's like, really? Like, you don't listen to a scientist and a doctor, but YouTube and Google and Facebook, you listen to. Like, you're crazy. But I mean, how does that, from your perspective, is it?
Oh my God.
Are things getting like a little crazy? Are things getting worse? Like, I don't think people should have this much information, to be honest.
I mean, it's like, well, here it's not even that there's too much information out. I think information is a good thing if it's cultivated, if it's edited. We seem to think, that the internet is this level playing field, and it's not. I mean, YouTube politics, for instance, where I have my show, is almost 100% of the hosts are male, and almost 100% of the audience is male. So imagine how that shifts the discourse.
Right.
Fox News has women on it, and the other women are watching, and there's a diverse group of people. So different experiences are showcased, but like the algorithms now are not creating a level playing field. So people are getting one perspective, and then they go into the real world where they face folks who might have different perspectives or experiences, and they butt head photos. It's I don't know. I mean, it's strange. And also just, education is so underfunded right now. So people they're not even taught, they don't even learn how to think, like how to sift through information anymore. And it's scary.
Yeah.
It's the fall of the Republic, I think.
So
happy Thanksgiving.
I just want to, no, but I actually truly believe in that because I'm a tech guy. I've been a tech guy for 20 years, and I am the number one person that absolutely hates social media. We need it. It's a necessary, especially if you're in business, it's a necessary evil. But I launched a social network in 1999, way before Facebook, way before I think even MySpace, to be honest. And I used to get yelled at for asking people to put their pictures online or their phone number online or whatever. But aside from that, I'm saying that because I know social media really well. And I am the first person to say it's the worst thing that's happened to us in a long time, because I just don't think people are ready for not everybody should have a voice. Not everybody needs a voice that can be heard. And social media is giving everybody a voice. And, on paper, it sounds nice, but in reality, it's just, to me, this is my opinion. I'm not stating facts here, but to me, I don't think everybody should have a voice.
And there are companies too that are like targeting folks and doing, I mean, the Cambridge Analytica situation was, they take like what might be a small instance and they turn it into something that's much bigger. It's not necessarily that it's almost like they create a crisis. It's not fault. I mean, it's manufactured. It's like a manufactured movement where people suddenly, I mean, I'm sure we all have friends that have become radicalized or
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people, I just saw somebody today. I was looking, wait, what happened to this person? She was so lovely, and now she's like she's taking a turn for whatever. And but they prey on like insecurities. They find what are the common themes that make them ripe for radicalization. It's not much different than like what a terrorist group does, where they find young boys who are of a certain demo and radicalize them.
Yeah,
very good point.
Absolutely.
Very good
And
point.
like Angelo, you travel all over the world. Like, what do you think of that?
Well, here's the thing. As a performer, because I'm doing comedy, so I got to use social media. That's the radio and newspapers don't work. So I'm thinking, I'm going to be in Chicago, I'm going to be in New York, and I know you got to do that kind of stuff. But it's funny to me because my cousin called me from Toronto, and he read a blog. Okay, he read a blog. He goes, this whole COVID thing's all bullshit, right? There's a blog, and the guy knows. He goes, you don't need to get vaccinated, and of course I want to listen because this may lead into a new bit for me. I go, so tell me why. Why is it? He goes, well, so and so. Okay, so I go, what's your source? And he goes, Jim's blog or something. Jim's blog. Oh no, the guy, he's reputable. And I'm like, I go, well. So one guy went on the internet, and what's happening, I think, and it's funny because I see it in comedy where if somebody says something that you agree to or you both agree on, then it's illegitimate. It's legitimate. And, because Jim's blog, the guy said this and that. They think and they give a specific day, like 18th of January, we should be back to normal.
Oh boy.
I go, okay.
God.
I mean,
Nostradamus here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nostradamus is there. And it's so funny because I always find that I agree with Ari that if used the right way, I think social media is good. That was the whole idea. But but people are doing this now, drinking water. gonna scratch my back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just they're doing what's happening.
Ivermectin.
We're so right. Yeah.
Well, see, okay, so Angelo, what you just said, I'm gonna take it one step further to ask Nomiki. So the filter bubble, I'm sure you guys are aware of this, Nomiki. You're
Right.
in news, so the filter bubble is one of those things that has been created by social media, by the internet, but by social media even more so. So now, 30, 40, 50 years ago, you're sitting to the evening news and you're hearing stuff you like and you're hearing stuff you hate, but you're hearing like the whole picture most of the time, right?
The news.
Yeah. Now it's like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And I never like hearing that. So I'm going to turn that off. I love hearing this. I love hearing about ivermectin because ivermectin is going to solve all our problem. So I'm listening to all this. These filter bubbles are one of the big problems. And I'm sure that you, Nomiki, like, you've heard and are exposed to this all the time. I mean,
it's infuriating. And there are trolls now. They what they'll do is, so I think what a lot of folks don't understand, and listen, I'm as somebody who I challenge the establishment a lot. It doesn't mean that our mainstream media is the most ethical media either. They've never seen a war that they don't like. There's lots of they have a blind eye when it comes to like how the U.S. empire functions. But the definition of intelligence is being able to hold two thoughts that kind of contradict each other in your head at the same time, and
right.
Work from there. So I find what's really interesting about this new kind of space, for lack of a better word, is there's absolutely there's money behind it. And I don't think folks necessarily understand they're weaponizing this energy of distrust that is natural and should exist right now because, we have a lot of problems in our country. There's, we've had a crazy last 21 years where multiple wars, economies have collapsed, internet is just sped up, at a crazy rate. Income inequality is worse than it's ever been. I mean, there's just so many things that are playing into folks' insecurities. And then you have a distrust for government and for the media, for anybody, tech companies, whatever, you name it. And now what I find is there's this group of folks that are profiting off of this dissent that are saying things like, well, if you challenge my opinion, you're censoring me. Actually, no, it's called editing. Like every newsroom had editors. And that's because, if you don't have accurate information, it can be actually very dangerous. And we're like in the middle of a plague. So actually it is very dangerous. It used to be that this was the example you used for and it still doesn't make a difference, but it's multiplied because you have certain folks now, individuals and companies and political groups too, that will weaponize social media to boost their arguments. So they'll have fake accounts, they'll set up farms in the Ukraine. Yeah. They'll actually hire people that have, are influencers to push a certain narrative because people are cheap and can be bought off for, whatever reason. And it's really disruptive, not just to democracy, but I mean, listen, we're not in a great spot, guys. This is not a great moment in it's rough.
It's
scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this.
Yeah.
In the matter of this time, how important is it that we have to keep laughing a little bit here? I think and I say comedy, it's funny because we're forgetting this. We're forgetting. Talk to your Greek relatives. I put stuff up on YouTube, and they're all correcting me from Greece now. So you don't say it like that, okay? But I said the saying. I said growing up in Canada,
oh, man.
it sounded like this. Okay, then you Nazi. I go, no, but I understand that, but I'm trying to explain to them that it's comedy, and I think people, you know what I'm saying, and I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think we're forgetting to maybe laugh a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're getting too serious? I don't know. What do you guys?
Totally.
We definitely are. We definitely are. Sometimes we have to be careful how we joke sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. It's everything's so PC, and I'm a PC guy just because I'm on the internet and I'm always like posting stuff and I'm always doing stuff. So I'm a PC guy, but at some point you have to understand comedy is comedy. Like comedy offends people. That's kind of why it's funny, because like you can't take it all serious.
Yeah, but
you can't laugh at yourself. Like who are you gonna laugh at? You know?
Well, I'll give an example. I was on an Alaska, true story. I'm on an Alaska cruise. And on the cruise ships, I'm thin.
That's a nice cruise.
There's a lot of heavy people. Alaska. There's a lot of heavy people. I'm thin on a cruise right now. So
that's how I feel when I go to Buffalo, where I grew up. Sorry.
Buffalo.
I feel like a supermodel in Buffalo. I feel I'm like, whoa.
You're a supermodel regardless. But I'm on the ship, and this couple came and said to me, "Oh, we're upset." I go, "What happened?" She goes, "Oh, well, yeah, we went whale watching and we didn't see any whales."
Oh.
And then I said, "Oh, no problem. Just go up to the buffet. You'll see a lot of whales in there." The guy laughed.
You offended her.
And she goes, "That's not funny." I go, "You shouldn't say that." I go, "Big people can talk about big people. We cancel each other out. It doesn't matter." So I go, and she goes, "Well," and then the woman that said it, she goes, "Well, how do you feel we should fix that?" I go, "Maybe we should start walking to the buffet more often, like walk, and it's so funny because it's big people act like they don't know why they're big. I know why you're big, because you eat. Don't act like what you, and I always say to them, it's okay if you want to eat, but don't act like you don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And that always drives me nuts. Like, well, we should, and I think what's happening, if you got to state the obvious, and I think that's what's happening in everything we're looking at now, like blogs or people that are offended or whatever. Well, okay, so then if I can say it, if I can be self-deprecating and make fun of myself, then it should be okay afterwards. But it's so funny how people will come up to me after and say to me, I was uncomfortable with what you said.
Oh,
I said, what I said, was it inaccurate? Well, no. Okay. So it's on you.
Angelo, you're a comedian. Like if you're like,
it doesn't matter anymore.
But I'm saying, like, if in my opinion, if you're like some sort of like CEO or some sort of politician, fine, watch what you say, because your job is to, kind of get people on board of what you're doing and what you're selling and what you're promoting, blah, blah, blah. But when you are looking and listening to a comedian, like, he is there to make fun of you, to make fun of somebody, to make jokes, to make you laugh. And this is what you're doing. The whole like thing about people being offended by every single thing, it's just, I don't know.
I remember. I can't remember if it. I don't remember who it was making fun of Bill Maher. It was another comedian saying. I think it was Norm Macdonald. I think he was saying something like the issue, because I get offended by Bill Maher all the time, and I'm like, oh, but he's a comedian. But the thing is, I'm not getting upset about his comedy. I'm getting upset at his like, he's trying to act like a politician, and I'm like, you're not. You don't have a political science degree. You're, just because you read a lot doesn't mean, yes, people should have opinions, but he does offend a lot of folks, because he's not holistically informed. But when he's doing his comedy, I'm like, all right, I can laugh at that, even though I don't agree with it. Sometimes it's funny. Like, I don't love it when he makes fun of Bernie, but I'll listen to it and I'll laugh. It's when it's gratuitous. I think that's like, there should always be a little bit of a level of like being aware of the gratuitous aspect of everything, but that's just being a socially intelligent human being. And comedians, of all people, I think, are the most socially intelligent, because they're picking up on nuances in society and shining a light. And sometimes, I know I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because it'll get me canceled, but Dave Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle thing, I watched it and I thought, this was not intended for me. He was trying to educate a different part of his audience about something.
Right.
And I think he probably achieved it, because he's so, multidimensional chess in his mind. And if you really were able to go in there and say, like, what was he trying to do? Not like, what do I feel about this? What was he trying to do? And I walked away from it and I thought, I don't think this was about like coming out the most woke. I think he was trying to ease a part of his audience, which was extremely transphobic, some of them probably, into understanding his mindset. And I thought it's listen, he's fine. He's been nominated for a bunch of awards now, and I think he'll survive. But the canceling of I'll just say this. I just wish women had the amount of courage to walk out of Netflix for every single violent movie on Netflix. Can you imagine that? So let's just put that in perspective. Can you imagine if every single woman that worked at Netflix and any ally was like, you know what, while we're at it, let's all do a walkout, because there are literally 900,000 movies that are violent against women on Netflix.
Women. Yeah. Right.
I mean, but this is what I'm saying. It's like, where are our standards if we're going to play this game?
Good point.
You're right.
Very good point.
Yeah. No, it's a good
I'm not
point.
advocating for that.
No, but it's true as a comic, and you hit it on the head, Nomiki. I think he's trying. The guy. I've met Chappelle a few times, and the guy, like you said, he's so brilliant, and he does it in a way where you don't think he knows what he's saying, and then he comes out of nowhere, and you're like, "Holy, how did he get there?" Yeah. And it's funny because what he was really saying was, when he came out and he goes, "This is the perspective that I'm using," and then all of a sudden they went against Chappelle, and they went against Netflix, and they went against all these things, and then again, where do you find the line? If you're offended by comedy, don't watch it. Just don't laugh. Just stay home and go to Red Lobster and do what you think makes you happy in life. And I get, and sometimes, and I have to stop myself too, Nomiki, because I mean, lately it's just been crazy. My cousin calls me up. He goes, Elon Musk, his mother's Greek.
No,
no,
she is not.
She's not Greek.
We do not accept her. I don't accept her. She's a Nazi from South Africa. Come on, we all know what she is.
South African. And Eli goes, Elon Musk, his mother is Greek. I go, no. The mother is, I think, South African. The dad's Canadian. No, she's from Kalavata or something. She's Greek. I go, where'd you get this information?
Jimmy's blog.
It's me. They went down there. So it's amazing to me. And he goes,
Speedo's blog.
And I just laugh. I go, okay. So do you know? No, because I know they told me about this, and it happens. It happens a lot where, I'll jump on this one for a second. It's a Greek thing. Like Jason Sudeikis, the comedian who's on Ted Lasso, he's Lithuanian,
right?
But the Greeks think he's Greek. It sounds Greek, right? Jason Sudeikis, and he's a very funny comedian, and his show is really good. And then they come, Jason Sudeikis is Greek. I go, no, actually, he probably hears that a lot. He's not Greek. He's from Lithuania. Oh, he's Lithuanian Greek. He's not Lithuanian Greek, but he's Lithuanian Greek,
Oh my God.
Is it just Greeks? Do we do that? I find
do it all the time.
Even me sometimes we Greekify things.
So much so.
Because we have that pride, which is
we're a very proud culture. I mean, there's no denying it. And I think it's funny as heck, like to hear all these things.
Guys,
I love it.
On that note, we should ask our guest Nomiki a little bit about herself and her background and where she grew up.
I'm not Greek, guys, by the way. I hate to break it to you. This is the moment where I have to. People have been asking me my whole life. They're like, "Are you Greek?" Sure. I keep going to these. I'm like,
Have you been mistaken? Have you been mistaken for other
oh yeah.
Anything like you that is common? Like, oh, you look Brazilian,
everything.
Italian, Spanish.
All of the above. So I studied in Mexico and I would do a lot of work in Puerto Rico. And so people always, and there are, to be fair, there's a lot of, like in Northern Mexico, there's a lot of Greeks. Like I have family that married into, there's a lot of Lebanese and obviously Spanish blood, but Greek blood too. So you'll see that a lot in Latin America where there really are roots that overlap, and you'll find really long last names. Like, I'm not going to name my friends' names, but that are Mexican in culture, but Greek roots. So I fit in a lot in certain Latin countries and obviously Southern Europe. But My favorite was I went to Japan and, my name is Nomiki and it's a very rare Greek name. It's from the island of Kalymnos. It means,
That's
the
where I'm
law.
from.
Oh, what? Get the heck.
Right.
Stop it. You're from Kalymnos?
Both of my parents.
Yeah.
Both? I'm not. I'm half. I'm a quarter actually. I'm a quarter Kefalonian, Kalymnian, and then the other half is Vodioipiros. So you talk about small villages. I'll tell you a story about
Wow,
the
awesome.
education from Vodioipiros. And no, but when I went to Japan, I had a lot of Japanese people saying to me like, "Oh, are you Japanese?" And I'm like, "No, my name is Nomiki." They're like, "It sounds Japanese." I'm like, "Do you not know your own names?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would have rolled with that. Like, yeah, I'm Japanese.
sure.
Yeah,
that's
there's some words that do sound Japanese. Like if you yell out "Regamoto," like that sounds Japanese to me.
Or malaka. Or, I'm sorry to hear this, but so many people have misused the word malaka in many ways that's also been like mistaken
So
for
funny.
Japanese.
Yeah, it could be.
It's funny. My daughter and my daughter, I FaceTimed them yesterday, and they went to a sushi place in Encino, and my daughter goes, "Daddy," she goes, "Daddy, the place is called Yamoto." Yamoto.
She knows that. She's so.
She knows. And my wife goes, "She learned this from you." I said, "Daddy, it's called Yamoto with a Y." I knew what it means, right? I go, "Yeah, I know what it means." And I think it's just funny.
So
And
cute.
she's got that brain to know that it sounds like. So I mean, it's funny
So
that
cute.
a lot of the words. Because when you look at Greek, I was in Puerto Vallarta. I went into the place yesterday. So I got nothing to do.
Is that like
So I
Fanny
went to this
Stalin?
place,
Yeah.
and it said Thea. It said ask Thea is for the travel, and I went. I said, "Oh look, ask Thea. Thea knows where everything is." And I was talking to the guy. And the guy looked at me, and goes, "Is my auntie here?" And the guy's confused, right? So I'm trying to explain to him that Thea in Greek means aunt.
Or tia
aunt.
in Spanish.
The guy's looking at me. Yeah, in Spanish too. So he kind of got it, what I was trying to say to him. But it's so funny because it happens to me too, because you'll go to different places and you'll see, like I was in when we were in Singapore, and I was with Russell, and we're looking out. I go, "What's over there?" He goes, "That's the Straits of Malacca."
Thought this from.
And that's what it's called. It's Malacca. It's over the Malacca.
Oh my
And,
god.
Why
is this so funny? It never gets old. It never gets old.
Never gets old.
No, and you know what the best part is? You could be in second grade, and you could be us, and we all are laughing at it.
They're like the most evolved fart jokes ever. It's like a little bit higher up on the scale.
But that just goes to show how proud and how much love we have for our culture, because it doesn't matter.
It's
We
true.
will always find this funny, and we will always watch movie credits and TV show credits and be like, "There's a Greek name. There's a Greek name." And we will always like find words that sound Greek, and we'll be like, "That's a Greek word."
Yeah.
And we'll always hear last names that sound Greek. We'll be like, "That guy must be Greek." It'll never end, and I love it. I love it.
What's one of the best classics, and I think Angela has touched on this, is when you visit random restaurants that are not Greek, and you open the menu, and all of a sudden you see this random Greek dish. Like, why is this here? And you're like, is the
Owner's Greek.
Right?
Yeah, because it's not a Greek restaurant, but it has Greek dishes.
So my friend, I have a friend who's American, whatever his background is, very like American name, and he lives in Astoria. And he said to me one day, he goes, "Oh, let's go to that one restaurant, but be careful, it's a sneaky Greek place." And I said, "What's a sneaky Greek place?" And he goes, "It's not a Greek place, but they sneak in stuff. It's like suddenly it's like a burger place, like and there's like halloumi on the menu." I'm like, "Oh my god, I love that! It's sneaky."
Oh, that's
Greek.
awesome. I'm going to use that term. Can I use that?
Totally.
Sneaky.
Right?
But guys, Greeks colonize the world with their food.
Yeah.
We colonize it because I was in we came back, I was in Bahamas. So I was with another comedian, Derek Cameron, funny African American comic. We got sick of the ship food. I go, "We're gonna go to McDonald's." As we're walking to McDonald's in Nassau, I see Greek grill Greek street food, gyros. So I said to him, if the guy's Greek, if the owner's Greek, we're going to eat there. If he's not, we're not going to eat there. And he got confused. He goes, I don't understand. I go, no. If it's Greek, I know it's going to be. So not soon do I open the door. I see the guy's face. Oh, we're eating here. And he goes, how do you know the guy's Greek? I go, he's Greek. So I went up to the counter. And I said,
he's got his kumboloy in his hands. That's how you know.
Are you Greek? Milasilinika. Nah. Yeah. And he starts talking to me, where you're from. And there's a community in Bahamas of Greeks. Like Nomiki said, in Mexico, we're shocked of it. And the guy was so happy. And it turns out that afterwards we're talking. And then the comedian that was with me said, why did the guy have to be Greek? I go, if the owner's Greek, okay, you know the food's going to be good. Doesn't matter with the employees. But I've been to places where it's a Greek restaurant not owned by Greeks. We're not eating here.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
No way. But if Greeks can open Italian and other restaurants, still make it. And I know this sounds arrogant, but it's true. We somehow have a better grasp.
Wait, can I just interrupt Angela real quickly? Nomiki, because of the fact that you mentioned you are of Colombian descent, did you know, Angelo, that there's a Greek church in Bahamas, and there's a small community of Colombians in Bahamas?
Makes sense.
That are very, thriving there with business that brought them there. So, the fact that there's a Greek church in Bahamas really wows us as Greeks, that especially here in the US, that what brought them there, right? This little island in Greece brought a bunch of Colombians or Greeks to this little island in the Caribbean that set up businesses. They set up a church community that are probably considered one of the most productive and successful residents of the island, or the islands of Bahamas.
Well, they own everything.
It's so interesting. I mean, makes sense. So it's Thanksgiving right now, and my mom's here where I'm hosting 20 people tomorrow. I don't know how that happened. I invited 17 people, and I was like, all right, maybe 8 will show up. 20 people are showing up now.
That's awesome.
But thank God I have my mom here, because she's, going into we're like, okay, what kind of things can we make that are, some of the people are going to be Greek, so we have to actually have our game. We can't half-ass the Greek food. We can't just do some sneaky stuff here and there. Right. We have to really perform, but then also we have to teach people what Greek food is. So my mom was she was looking up. We're going to do pasticcio tomorrow. So I want to do little. But I have a few friends that are vegetarian, including myself, by the way. Don't kill me. Oh, look at you. Nice. See, this is the Colombian. To be fair, I'm pescatarian, but mostly vegetarian. I do, if I'm in Cali, I'll have some fish or something. So we're on this website and we're looking up a recipe, because I want to do a vegan version of pasticcio, but I'm like, we have to look at the normal recipes. So she pulls up this recipe online, and she's comments, just, that's not how you make it. She's going on line by line. What is this? Why? What? How do you? Lamb? You don't put lamb in pasticcio. So then she's reading the comments section, and this is the funniest part. Okay. There's a tribe of Greek people roasting this person. You're not Greek. Go to Greece. You will never find lamb in pasticcio. What kind of person are you? You need to get on a plane, and you need to how dare you insult our food?
Oh my God.
I love it.
Dude, we need to
read Greeks, man.
No, Nikki. But Nomiki, somebody in LA tried to make moussaka with ground turkey, and they got into it. They said the Greeks wouldn't eat it. I go, you don't put ground turkey in moussaka. It doesn't exist.
No, just don't eat it.
Yeah.
Don't eat it. But you're right. Don't eat it.
I mean, but then again, I'm making it with Beyond Beef tomorrow, so it's not. I mean, at least it's tastes like.
That's not bad.
It's not that bad.
No, that'd be cool.
I like that. Beef.
No,
it's not cool.
Yeah.
Nomiki, you said that you grew up in Buffalo?
I did.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about your upbringing in American?
I thought you were going to say you're from Buffalo too. And I was like, and then I find out I'm cousins with you, and you're like, I was your neighbor.
Nomiki, I'm right behind you right now.
You're like in the window, like peering through. I don't know. I'm from Buffalo. Buffalo is a very Midwest kind of city. People think of New York. It's close to Toronto, as you know.
Yeah.
It's like got a little bit of Cleveland kind of energy, a little sliver of New York, and like I don't know, a little sliver of Toronto just because it's on the water. We grew up. My house was a half hour outside of the city. So it was a more rural district, more suburban community. And, we went to the Greek church there, Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church. I got kicked out of Greek school, had to go to a tutor. My mom was not happy. It was like a Buffalo life, lots of chicken wings, lots of, I'm a bad Buffalonian. So what you were saying about where people think you're from, no one ever, when I ran for office, people thought I was like this kind of a completely different version of who I am. I'm like working class immigrant kind of family. My mom recycles her tinfoil and is doing it in my house right now, and it's driving me crazy. Like very Buffalo, very, meat and potatoes, but I don't eat meat. I could not tell you anything about football or hockey, which is like the lifeblood of Buffalo. Right. I don't like snow. Yeah. I don't want to ski, like not having it, not at all. But that was my upbringing. So you would never think that look now today, but I can immediately go back to being like 4 Super Bowls in a row. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
That one.
My God.
Well, my Kubati are in St. Catharines, close to Niagara Falls.
Very close. Yeah.
So they go shopping in Buffalo, and they go across you go right across the
Peace Bridge.
But to me, Buffalo is almost adopted by Canada in many ways. It's got the same, it's weird because it's like the food is good, and I've done shows there. And it's so funny that you say that, because when you talk to everybody in Niagara Falls or St. Catharines, they're going to Buffalo, and then everybody from Buffalo you talk to, they go across to Canada.
Oh, totally.
Because they get 30% off with the dollar. So it's a back and forth.
And it's a better city. Like zone up. It's so crazy because when I was a kid, the Canadians would come to Buffalo, and then Buffalo got really shitty. No offense, I can say that because I'm from there, so I will say it. It got really shitty. Thank you, trade deals like Carter's trade deals in the 70s, and did all these factories shut down. There's an exodus, blah blah blah, and then Toronto turned into this like world-class city, and it was so close. An hour and a half away. Really, you can see it from the other side of the water, but you got to go. There's a little bit of driving there. And then it changed. Like, instead of going to New York City, we go to Toronto instead. It was much, much cooler, much hipper. And even when I go back to Buffalo now, I usually will spend a weekend in Toronto just because it's a fun getaway. And Greek food, we would go to Toronto for Greek food because all we had was diners. And so my parents would lose their mind because they're like, okay, enough with the open-faced chicken souvlaki, whatever version this is from a diner. It's not a thing that happens. And we would go to Canada, and we would like usually rent a hotel room, and we would just go Greek dancing. They'd have like live music and get it out of our system and then go back. It was, oh my God, my childhood was so much fun.
Great
little excursions.
Town, right?
Greek
on Danforth, great Greek town in Toronto. Still is. I lived there for 10
so much
years.
Fun.
I know it's great.
I
love it.
Where are you from in Canada? Vancouver?
Well, I'm from Montreal originally.
Montreal.
Right? Nomiki, so I was born in Montreal. And I was raised in Ottawa, the capital. And then I lived in Toronto for 10 years. And I lived in England for 2 years. And then I said I was only going to go to LA for 3 years. And then I met my wife. And then it was like, well, the second wife, maybe the second, I met. And now I've been in LA. And then it's funny because my wife said this to me the other day. She goes, if it doesn't work out with us, I hope your next wife. I go, oh, time out. I go, there's no next wife. I'm going to live in a monastery in Greece. I'm going to become a monk. I'm not getting married again, I said to her. It's all yours. But look what she said.
You've got good views, at least.
It's funny. Yeah. Honestly. And then it's like, but my mom, I got to see my mom because I hadn't seen her for 2 years. So we went there. And it's so funny because my mom says to me, Titelis nafas. Right, and it drives my sister crazy.
I'm shocked she said that.
My sister goes, "Oh look, you showed up. Now we're gonna eat." because mom makes it. Mom was a caterer. So she made, I'm going to ask you guys if you like this. She made uvarelakia. I know you don't eat meat. You can do it without it. Uvarelakia avgolemono soup, which is comfort food for me.
Classic.
It's egg lemon, avgolemono. Yeah. And I put it on, I think on my page, and it was like 10,000 people were like salivating over it.
Oh my God.
And I went there.
Because it looked good, man. It looked really good.
It's so good. It's so good, right? I said, I want soup. I don't care if it's 100 degrees. Fellow soupa. I want soup. Because soup's good. I can eat soup anytime.
I miss,
what's
the what? Oh, yeah, go ahead. One food. Oh, here we go. Let's talk about it now.
Well, Forky's going to hit you up later. But I was going to say to you, what's one thing that you always enjoy? For me, it's soup.
So much.
I can eat soup morning, noon, and night all the time.
I do love soup. I miss my yaritza. That's one thing. Like my yaya was I know everybody says this, but so my dad's mother is from Kalimnos, and she was a very good cook, but she was more like worldly and cultured. My mom's mother was from Bordeaux, and she was, it's a very poor region, the Albanian side. And she made the best pitas in the world, the best spanakoppitas. I still have, she died like 4 years ago. We still have half of one left because we're like sliding little pieces. And then she made this margherita that was to die for. I've never had any, and I'm glad I don't eat meat now because she's gone. So, but I could have eaten her margherita every single day. The smell, like walking in the house.
Do you have your yaya's recipe for the pitas?
I do, and my mom's here, and we have videos. It's hard because it's, even if you have the recipe, it's a craft. Like she made the filo by hand, and it was like so thin. Honestly, there are very few places in Greece I've ever had anything similar. I hate to say it this way, but you have to go to that area to really get like the quality northern to Ipiros to get like the quality pitas, and it's a dying art. It's the yayades that were like 90 years old who knew how to do it. It's very, very hard to do.
It is
very hard.
I don't know if this is good news or bad news, Nomiki, but you have 20 people tomorrow. You might have 23, and the last half of that might be gone. So
we're coming.
Just prepare yourself.
We've got.
You had me at pita.
We have one, and then my mom made one.
My mouth was watering. I go, I want a pita. I want yaya's pita.
I'm sure we have all, like you mentioned, Angela, we from our households growing up, I'm sure we have that one or two dishes that is a staple that you think about it, like what's going to happen moving forward if we can't get that anymore.
Oh God.
We have to. That's why there's a great cookbook, my friend Chris Sorligas, my big fat Greek cookbook, and I wrote the foreword for him. His mother was dying of cancer. So before his mother died, his sister, what they did to honor her, they took all the recipes. He's on his 6th or 7th printing. That's and he honored his mother with these recipes. But his mom is very much all our moms. It's like it's pretty much, we all had that. And by doing that, I said, Christo, he's a filmmaker from Montreal. And he goes, it's amazing what you just said, Forty. So many people they remember having it, like Nomiki said, her yaya made this or did that. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, we lose the recipes or we forget. Now I'm noticing some great, not just this, there's great cookbooks out there now for Greek food.
Sure. Well, spoiler alert, but Nomiki is coming out with the Greek buffalo cookbook, right? That's coming soon.
Chicken wings and feta.
Yes, I love it. I'm all set. I'm all set.
I will eat that.
Buffalo chicken wing pita.
I think we need a. I think, guys,
delicious chicken wings and feta.
I think the only way to save these very special and dear recipes is to create workshops, because I don't think cookbooks do the justice of how things are made. So unless we get together and put some workshops on how to make these,
okay,
iconic dishes. Yes.
Buddy, you're right. Okay, so Nomiki, we're gonna do more segments, but it's gonna be bring your mom on.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
show us how to make that buffalo wing and feta.
dish.
Oh
But,
God.
Stop saying
Don't
that.
get
I
worse.
love buffalo wings and feta. I will.
It actually would taste really good. I think that is a good
It totally
combination.
would.
Totally.
All right, patent
Melted
pending,
with
people.
the feta.
Patent
Oh my
pending.
god, that'd be good.
a feta dip instead of blue cheese.
That'd be so good.
Oh, you
We
killed it,
just
killed it, killed it.
started an empire tonight, right here on Connecting Greeks. Thank you.
Okay, I'll think of a few more.
Yeah.
Let's find out more about Nomiki and what's going
Oh,
on
what
in-
else?
in her life and what's in the pipeline for Nomiki.
Oh man. What am I doing right now? Well, I have my show. It's a podcast and YouTube show. It's on like all these different platforms. I can't even keep track as everybody else. You got to diversify.
Right.
It's called the Nomiki Show. So it's very creative. It's,
Right.
people Google Nomiki and that pops
Okay.
up. It's twice a
Awesome.
week. And it's a left leaning, it's like an interview show. So we do a lot of long form interviews about whatever topics are coming up. Like we just did the whole trial, the Rittenhouse trial that was
Oh,
we did
gosh.
yesterday. It was like a long one. We have a lot of journalists and experts and authors on, and then we do like a panel afterwards where we talk about like the news of the day, and you have fun guests, like this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And then
Nice.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun. It's and I go on cable news, but it's they're picking the topics on cable news, and sometimes I feel a little like, oh, I'm so happy I just went through 5 hours of getting in a car, getting my hair and makeup done, went on TV for 5 seconds to fight over like should Caitlyn Jenner be on whatever, like something that's not relevant.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I'm really spending a lot of good time on my. So it's nice that we have these spaces now where we can survive off of, if we're privileged enough to have an audience, which I'm grateful to have the ability to do so, especially for my home now. And then the other thing I do is I run an organization called Matriarch, where we support working class women running for office.
Oh, cool.
It's very cool. Yeah. It's because there's a lot of like women's organizations out there that want women to run for office, but they're not focusing on the economic issues that women face when they run. And, a lot of working class women run and they don't, some of the things that they say to you is like, oh, can you raise $300,000 in the first two months? If so, we'll endorse you. And it's like, well, then you're going to have a
No
bunch
problem.
of rich white
I'll be right
ladies.
back. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we help them get
Yeah.
through that process and build, what we call viable campaigns earlier on with different skill sets. And it's been an extremely like fulfilling, exciting. It's called Matriarch, and we have a training where we're going to train over 100 women at the end of January who are running up and down the ballot. So if your audience, if anybody is thinking of running or knows anybody
Awesome.
or wants to contribute to, jump over to matriarchpac.com.
That's amazing. And actually, outside of this conversation, Foti and I will actually connect you with some people that we know that would be perfect for this.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So cool.
We're not in Canada yet,
Connecting
though.
Greeks, right? Connecting.
That's it.
Connecting Geeks.
It's connecting. But I've always said this, guys. I've always said this. I think what you're doing is awesome, Nomiki. And I think it's the only way things go ahead or further is when you connect and you find out. Like now, people are going to listen to our podcast, are going to find this out, and they're going to be able to continue to. And I think it's a good example, because I'll bring it back to the Greek thing. We always talk about our dads, but really, when you look at the base of the family, it's usually the mom is the one that keeps everything. Mom's the discipline. Mom will help you bury a body. Mom's there for you. Greek mothers.
She didn't do that for me. Maybe the boys.
Maybe the boys, but Greek mothers. And it's funny because my dad's from Sparta, so it's really serious. Let's kill people. And then you got my mom who's a Nishotisa from Lesbos, and it's so funny because it's like the Nishotes, like the Kalim knows. I find the Nishotes have a bit more humor. They're more joie de vivre, right?
Oh my God,
Yeah,
my Yaya from
Mainlanders.
Kalimnos was so funny. She was so funny. But yeah, you're right. Like the mainland side of my family, a little bit. I mean, you was so funny. You said, Angela, you're like the two villages. So my Yaya and my Papu from my mom's side of the family were from I went to the villages. They were cut off from the world until the wall fell, and they escaped under Hoja, both of them separately. Really horrible, horrible, horrible stories. And no one had been back to the village. And so I went in 2017, or 18, I think. And it's just as my grandparents described. My dad was always like, "Oh, we drank water out of this. We didn't have any water. We didn't have this. We used to," and I'm like, yeah. I'm sure it was because they tell the stories over and over. And I got there and I'm like, no, this is exactly what she said. But it was so funny because there's two villages, Polichani and Hlomo. Hlomo is where my grandmother was from, and Polichani is where my papu was from. And my papu would always say, she was rich, and I'm like, okay. So I get to the villages and I'm like,
they had money.
Like it was like the most rundown. It's the poorest area of Europe, guys. The poorest area of Europe. But Hlomo's just like, it's like they had one extra goat. And she was the oligarch of the community. Watch out, guys.
That's hilarious.
So good. I love that.
That sums it up though, right? Well, I know, Nomiki, an hour went by really fast.
Oh, wow.
And we're
already.
Thank you so much. That we're happy you came on today, and we're gonna talk about your show, and really happy to have you on the Connecting Greeks. But what we end it, we give it to Forty, and then Forty asks a few questions about you, and then Ari takes it home. So thanks for being here, and we're going to promote the Nomiki show and all that other stuff too. Really
so
appreciate you coming on today, Nomiki. Thanks.
I want to go on a cruise. Have you done a Greek cruise only? Like, I mean, okay, so we do that in Greece. You don't think about it in Greece, right?
Yeah.
But here, I'm like a little scared of it.
Yeah. I think there's another one I'm going to let you guys know. I did one for a church out of Florida.
Ooh.
And they had Bazooka on it and me.
Oh,
it was fun. It was a good cruise,
Oh,
I would do
good.
that.
They tried to make Greek food horrible.
Was it a bunch of Greeks from like Tarpon Springs? You said
There's a
Colombian.
lot of them there. For Tarpon Springs.
Watch out, we're everywhere.
Oh man.
We're everywhere.
No, Nomiki, this is great. This has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on our show. I think we had fun. I mean, this is one of the shows that we actually, it just flowed. I mean, other shows, we obviously have formats, we have questions, but this just went pretty quickly. And we thank you for being on with us.
Thank you.
I mean, you could tell Nomiki is a professional, so it's like,
right.
This is the best kind of guest we could have.
Yeah, definitely.
And
100%.
As Angela has said, we do this little fun segment towards the end to get to know our guests a little more with these three little, quirky questions. And the first question we're going to ask you, Nomiki, we talked about food. We got to know that you're vegetarian, pescatarian, but obviously growing up in a Greek family, I'm sure you had lots of great dishes. But can you tell us and our audience your favorite and least favorite Greek food?
Ooh.
Well, she said margherita. I'm gonna.
Is
that your favorite?
I don't know. I mean, I think also I used to love when I was a kid. My yaya made domades and but really, really good homemade. I don't think I've ever had any as good as her. She was obviously, my mother is a great cook, but my yaya was she was just the community favorite. She started the festival. She was like a little, she was the matriarch.
It was Food Network.
Yeah.
Right.
And my least favorite, I don't know. I mean, I don't eat any of this stuff now, but I guess kokoretsi is it's probably just because it's disgusting in my mind.
I agree.
Yeah, that works.
I agree, man. And
That's true. Yeah,
Look.
I can see that.
Even when I ate meat, the idea of it was just
overly salted intestines that are probably not good for your heart. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you know what I don't like? I also don't like. My mom loves them though. Oh my God, it's disgusting. No, I also don't like cod. I feel like cod is just so overdone. Even, and that's something I can eat today. I just I'm like, what? Why? Boring. Why are you eating this? There's so much fish. Cod.
Bottom feeders.
I won't take offense being in Cape Cod right now, but
oh yeah.
You guys started it, so excellent. So Nomiki, next question. Growing up as Greeks, we have our ways of saying things, and I'm sure our all of us have been subject to our parents, saying things. Any Greek sayings growing up that you might want to share with us that really stick with you or resonate with you, that, whether you were as a teenager and your parents kept saying things that just like stuck to your head, that you might want to let us know that you were subject
Oh my
to?
God.
Could be rated R. Don't worry.
No, there are definitely some like that, but I can't think of them right now. But I can only think of the words, and it's.
I'll tell you
because,
one what my mom always used to say, "Tamatia su ekato." Like before you leave the house, make sure you have 100 eyes around your head to make sure.
I got it. Okay.
But I think that the common saying was, the common saying was "Dekatesa."
But my mother never trusted me, so she.
Your mom wanted way more eyes than
she wanted more eyes.
Yes.
Oh, I don't have any the lessons. I can't think of any lessons right now. I'm sure I know I have them. I can only think of like the silly things that they would say because they could never say the words right, like college cheese instead of cottage cheese, or happy birthday, not birthday, happy birthday. And like, those little things. Like my grandfather never understood like silent letters in Greek, and that was my favorite. And he would get into this like passionate diatribe. Why don't you why is this word not this way and this way? I don't understand. I'm like,
yeah. That
just like little things like that.
We need to add that question to this to the itinerary here, because that's a good question, because you got Sarababits and Maidanos and like Banca instead of Trapeza and like Keki, like all these
donut.
Yeah, Donkey Donut.
Vamos to Donkey Donut. Where to Donkey
Donuts?
How would they pronounce McDonald's in Greek?
Maidanos.
McDonald.
All right,
McDonald.
Oh,
so that'll be the Nomiki addendum to the questionnaire that we do. I like that question.
We all have that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Last question for you, Nomiki. Again, I'm going to go back to the fact that, your grandma was Kalimian. Kalimians live a life of being superstitious from the moment they are born to the moment that they pass. Any Greek superstition that you still live by?
Oh my God.
Practice?
This is killing me. I've tried so hard not to be this. I mean, I have the mati all over me, like, and
all right, that
qualifies.
That qualifies.
And now it's like a trend. I remember I used to hide it. Like I would get little pins and I'd stick it in. And now it's like so socially accepted. Yeah. But like 5 years ago, I was like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm like into tarot cards and this kind of stuff. Like the matia. I don't know what I mean. I wish my mom was in here with me, because I'm not thinking of these. I should have prepared for this.
No.
What other? I know I have them. I know, but
the mati is
like
one of the most popular.
It's the church stuff, actually. It's when I'm in church and I get really rigid about it, because it was like in my, not crossing your legs in church, like, how all these little rules and like how you're, properly supposed to, when you're supposed to stand. And I guess if you're old school, you stand the whole time. I hate being that way, but it's in me. And then I get judgy about it with like my family members. I'm like, you're not supposed to. I'm like, come on, stop being so judgy. That's who you are.
Oh man,
it's hard to shake.
You mentioned something about being in church. How many of us actually have to wait to watch the person next to us on when they're going to get up so we can get up?
Or when to do your stuff raw. It's like,
I've never done any of these things.
Is it a
I've
3
never done
or
any
is
of
it a
these
1?
things. Never ever have I done any of these things without seeing somebody else do it, and then I just do it.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, they made me do the I was choir for a few years in college, and unfortunately, like, you'll see me sometimes singing along with the Ayadas, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing that I know all the hymns.
That's awesome. I love that.
That's awesome.
Little known fact about me.
Awesome.
There you go. That's what we do. We get to know. We get to know you. We connect the Greeks. We get to know you. And I just want to say, on behalf of all of us, Nomiki, thank you so much for taking the time, for being with us, for opening up and letting us know who you are. I hope, and I'm sure the guys agree, I hope we have you on again.
Love to. So much fun.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Bring your mom on. Let's do some cooking too. Like, why not?
Call her in right now. You'll have another hour with her right now. You want to?
It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Fascinating, interesting, amazing. We wish you all the best. We can't wait to talk to you again. We will have all the information of your show in our notes of the video and the podcast. And I want to thank Foti. I want to thank Angelo as always. He's out in the middle of the ocean. He's looking out for icebergs and stuff. I don't know what you're doing out there. But on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for taking the time and for being with us.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Yeah,
It was
thank
so
you,
much fun.
Nomiki. Thank you.
You're doing a great
Great,
show,
And
guys.
happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
And
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
happy Thanksgiving. We want to thank everybody out there for watching and listening. We will see you next time. I don't know exactly when, probably next week, hopefully. And thank you, Nomiki. Thank you, Foti. Thank you, Angelo. We'll see everybody. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Everybody.
Bye.